TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel stresses its determination to root out Iranian elements in the West Bank districts of Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley. The United States deploys additional military assets throughout the Middle East in a move aimed at deterring Iran. As Americans head to the polls, a survey finds that over 66% of Israelis support former President Donald Trump. Israel will continue to face Iranian proxies throughout the region on all fronts and will not relent in the face of increasing pressure. Speaking to IDF forces of the Ephraim Brigade near the West Bank town of Qalqilia, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant highlighted that the failures of the Islamic Republic of Iran on other fronts have resulted in increased efforts by the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps to flood Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley with funds, munitions, armaments, and advisors in an effort to bolster terror groups in the territories against Israel.
Iran is trying to harm Israel. It started in Gaza, transitions to Lebanon, continues to Yemen, Iraq, and additional places. In all of these places, we are thwarting and striking at them. However, when the routes are blocked, their only path to operate is to stream into Judea and Samaria all that they can smuggle in, to include finance, explosives, weapons, and instructors or operators. You are facing these in the field. This means that the intensification of terror in your sector over the course of the entire past year, in every location, including in Qalqilia and Tulkarem, as well as Tubas and Jenin, and also in places in the south of Judea, this intensification is a function of the many successes of the IDF in the other places. When we stuck in Tehran a week ago, along with other places in Iran, and when we eliminate their ability to conduct real operations that they had planned to do, including operations of murder by Hezbollah, and we strike and destroy Hamas for an entire year, they look for other paths to harm Israel. Terror does not relent. Therefore, the Iranians intensify pressure, and this pressure is directed at what they believe is a low point or a weaker point in Israel's defense. Therefore, the fact that Judea and Samaria is a large sector, these efforts reach you. It begins in the east and advances.
Jerusalem's top defense official went on to underscore to the troops, whom he praised for eliminating over 800 Islamist terror operatives over the course of the past year alone, that the war on terror will further intensify.
You are facing local Palestinian elements. However, the financing, money, directives, and resources that stand behind all of this comes from Iran. It is directed to this place because they failed to succeed in other places. They don't like the fact that we eliminated Nasrallah, and that we eliminated Sinwar, and all that stands behind it. So what do? They look for an alternative. Therefore, what I expect to see is that your operations will intensify and become more complicated. It will become tougher in a sense that you will face greater challenges.
Turning to the northern front, amid increased efforts by the Biden administration to reach a resolution for Lebanon, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu toured Israel's northern front, during the course of which he explicitly clarified Jerusalem's stance vis-à-vis Iran's Lebanese tentacle, namely Hezbollah.
I am here on the northern border. From here one can see and hear the changed reality, aircraft overhead and our heroic fighters on the ground, beyond the borderline, eliminating the entire underground terrorist network that Hezbollah had prepared to raid the Galilee and carry out an even bigger massacre than occurred in Gaza. This will not happen. We are striking all areas in Lebanon. I would also like to make it clear, with or without an agreement, the key to restoring the calm and security in the north, the key to returning our residents in the north safely to their homes, is, first of all, to push Hezbollah beyond the Litani. Second is to strike at any attempt to rearm itself. Third is to respond vigorously to any action against us. Simply put, enforcement, and cutting off Hezbollah's pipeline from Iran through Syria. To all of this we are committed.
Meanwhile, in Washington, Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder announced an order by U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin to deploy a long list of new assets into the Middle East ahead of an anticipated departure of the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group from the highly volatile region.
Secretary Austin ordered the deployment of additional ballistic missile defense destroyers, fighter squadrons, and tanker aircraft, and several U.S. Air Force B-52 long-range strike bombers to the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility. These forces will begin to arrive in coming months as the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group prepares to depart, some of which have already begun to flow into theater, as highlighted by the arrival of the B-52 bombers over the weekend. These deployments are in keeping with our commitments to the protection of U.S. citizens and forces in the Middle East, the defense of Israel, and de-escalation through deterrence and diplomacy. These movements build on the recent decision to deploy the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Missile Defense System to Israel, as well as DoD's Sustained Amphibious Ready Group Marine Expeditionary Unit posture in the Eastern Mediterranean, and demonstrate the flexible nature of U.S. global defense posture and U.S. capability to deploy worldwide on short notice to meet evolving national security threats. Secretary Austin continues to make clear that should Iran, its partners, or its proxies use this moment to target American personnel or interests in the region, the United States will take every measure necessary to defend our people.
General Ryder further stressed in response to a question related to Iran's declared intentions to attack Israel and the United States in the days ahead that the Biden administration has been very clear that Iran should not respond to Israel's October 26th retaliation.
So in terms of whether or not Iran does anything, I'm not going to speculate, nor will I discuss intelligence assessments from here. I think we as the U.S. government have been very clear that we believe Iran should not respond to Israel's retaliation if they choose to do so. We, of course, will support Israel in their defense.
The Ayatollah regime in Tehran has apparently not received the Biden administration's memo, with an increase of statements emerging regarding the Islamic Republic's determination to attack Israel. Moreover, Iran's foreign ministry proclaimed that so long as Israel continues to attack Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon, a threat of wider escalation persists.
Iran's response to any aggression is clear and decisive. Over the past year, we have repeatedly emphasized that the Middle East region is facing issues, such as Israel's acts of genocide in Gaza and its ongoing aggression against Lebanon. As long as this situation persists, there is a risk of escalation and expansion of conflict in the region.
Alongside the Islamic Republic's determination versus Israel, the Iranian Foreign Ministry further highlighted unabashedly that it regards the presence of the United States military in the region as the root cause of instability.
As long as the region faces the presence of foreign troops, especially those of the United States, it will continue to suffer from problems and tension. However, this will not affect Iran's resolve and determination to defend itself. Furthermore, it should now be clearer than ever to countries in the region that they need to support each other to promote the resolution of regional issues and safeguard security and stability in the region.
The Iranian Foreign Ministry also addressed the U.S. elections, while the Ayatollah regime employed multiple campaigns of disinformation, which an FBI investigation revealed were aimed to aid the Harris campaign. Tehran effectively sought to distance itself from allegations related to its malign election interference.
The U.S. election is a matter for the American people. For us, actions are what matter. We will consider U.S. behavior and assess it accordingly. Unfortunately, the history of relations between the two countries, Iran and the U.S., shows that America's approach toward the Iranian people has not significantly differed between various administrations. And unfortunately, this anti-Iranian nation policy has been prevalent in different U.S. administrations.
Turning to Israel, where a survey found that 66% of Israelis prefer former U.S. President Donald Trump over Vice President Kamala Harris, who secured only 17% of support of Israeli respondents.
I think that Trump will do a lot of stuff also to put an end to the war and to bring back the hostages alive, hopefully. And Kamala didn't really talk about anything like that, and I don't think that she is really capable of doing stuff like that.
I think I would choose Kamala Harris because I think Trump is really crazy. I don't like crazy people, and I think, I don't feel like I understand enough, but I think Kamala Harris is a more decent person than Trump.
I would like to see Donald Trump winning. The only reason is because he's a friend of Israel, and I, as a right voter, will prefer Donald Trump on Kamala Harris, which she proved herself as against Israel.
It is important to highlight that there are over 147,000 dual American Israeli nationals who are eligible to vote in today's U.S. presidential elections. And while President Trump's track record in support for Israel is seemingly undisputed, Vice President Harris's choice to address a predominantly anti-Israel crowd in the state of Michigan last, with little voiced support for Israel, has raised concerns within a once dominant, Democrat-inclined country.
And I want to say, this year has been difficult, given the scale of death and destruction in Gaza, and given the civilian casualties and displacement in Lebanon. It is devastating. And as president, I will do everything in my power to end the war in Gaza. To bring home the hostages, end the suffering in Gaza, ensure Israel is secure, and ensure the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, freedom, security, and self-determination.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Separately, if you're blessed by our productions, which are exclusively donation-based, please consider supporting our programs with a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Essen, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.